So I kept playing Hollow Knight after making my first impressions video. My thoughts on the game up to this point are still underwhelming. What's up guys, Acerthorn here and welcome to another video game analysis video. I decided to take my first impressions video of Hollow Knight and turn it into a recurring series, where I play a little, record my thoughts, play a little, record my thoughts. So my first impressions video will retroactively become part 1, and this is part 2 of the Hollow Knight Chronicles. So this time I decided to play for a whole hour. I even uploaded the footage of this play session in an unlisted video without any edits or commentary. I will provide a link to that video in the description if you're interested. That's 3 times as much time as I previously played. So I don't want to see any comments whining and crying about how I didn't give this game a fair shake, okay? Just throwing that out there. The longer I play this game, the less of an excuse it has for not being fun. Don't tell me I still haven't given this game a fair shake, although let's be honest, you'll find a way to blame me somehow, because a combined 80 minutes across 2 play sessions is enough time for me to get a good first impression of this game. I am not about to spend 20 or 30 hours playing a game that is not fun just on the possibility that it might become fun if I put in enough grind. That's not how video games work. They are supposed to be fun at the outset. More importantly than that, when I posted the first impressions video, I got some encouraging comments, but I also got quite a lot of comments like these, saying that this game is too good for me, and that I need to stop playing because I'm just not in this game's league. I should warn you, the more people try and pull shit like this, the higher my expectations for this game are going to be, and those expectations were already sky high to begin with just on this game's reputation alone, and the more negative and cynical I am likely to be towards the game if it doesn't live up to these ever-rising expectations. This game needs to be a genuine masterpiece in order to justify it having this kind of snobby and elitist fan base. If you're going to constantly suck this game's dick and put me down for not sucking its dick, be prepared for me to hold it to the standards which you are setting for it. Now, that being said, one of the commenters in the previous video told me to go left and then down from the position I ended the previous unlisted video on, and I would find someone who would be able to sell me a map. While this map does not give me a clear objective to advance the plot, it does mark several points of interest, and visiting and exploring those points of interest should hold me over until I get a more concrete objective. Well, this is one of the few guys who didn't act like a snobbish, elitist know-it-all, so I'm going to follow his advice. I go left, then find myself in a section comprised mainly of platforms to fall onto and occasional enemies to avoid. I noticed that some of these platforms, namely the ones on the sides, wiggle when I land on them, although they don't fall. I wonder if that's supposed to mean something. So when I reach the bottom, I find this guy. His name is Cornifer. He sells me a map and charges 30 of these, gray honeycomb thingies. So now I realize that these gray honeycomb thingies are the game's currency. I really wish I knew what they were called. So anyway, now I have a map, and, you call this a map? This is not a map, ladies and gentlemen. I can't tell where anything is with this thing. This looks like an etch-and-sketch drawing that some kid would draw of his own house, when he doesn't have the slightest idea how to draw anything to scale. You want an example of a map system that actually helps me find my way? Let's take a look at the SNES classic Super Metroid. This right here is the entire map of the game after you've explored everything. I can see where the walls are in this game. I can see where the doors are. I can see what portions of the map represent out-of-bounds areas I'm not meant to visit. Oh, and this time, you don't have the excuse that I'm comparing apples and oranges. In the last episode, I compared Hollow Knight's opening to Skyrim's opening, and a lot of you said that this wasn't a fair comparison because the two games are from two completely different genres. Well, this time around there's no excuse. This is Metroid, and Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania. You're honestly telling me that Metroid isn't from the same genre as Metroidvania? Give me a fucking break. By contrast, this etch-and-sketch drawing that this game is attempting to pass off as a map clearly has quite a lot of sections of this area not penciled in. Later, when I finally got the compass, oh, we'll get to that later on, I could often find myself in sections of this map that I could have sworn were out-of-bound areas. For that matter, where are these waypoints you spoke of? I was told that once I have this etch-and-sketch drawing, I would have several places of interest already marked on there, and that by visiting all of them, I would slowly start to piece together on my own how to make the story progress. But I sure as hell don't see them here. No, wait, let me correct myself. This logo that looks like my character's head is the only place I can see that suggests to me that I am supposed to visit it. It's the only place that seems to actually stand out. However, I tried to get to that area from all four directions, and for the life of me, I couldn't seem to get my compass icon to line up with that section. So apparently, this Hollow Knight head logo is like the equivalent of the giant Xbox logo on the original Xbox controller. It's not a button, it doesn't even light up. It's literally just a giant waste of space on a controller that was already way bigger than it needed to be. Apparently, this Hollow Knight head icon is similarly a complete waste of space. So anyway, I finally get told where to go by someone in the game for a change, so I return to Dirtmouth in order to speak to Conifer's wife about purchasing a compass. I should point out that this is literally the most amount of actual characterization I have gotten from this entire game. These two are in an estranged marriage because Conifer's profession often forces him to spend long amounts of time away from his wife. This is the absolute bare bones amount of characterization, but at least it's something. So I find myself enjoying my conversations with these two NPCs much more than I actually enjoy going through this labyrinth in search of something compelling, which I still haven't found. The fact that this game, which supposedly has an incredibly rich and complex story, has made me yearn for the absolute bare minimum amount of characterization is a testament to how boring this game's quote-unquote story is, if it even has one. And don't tell me that this game's story is slow to build, because that is complete and utter bullshit. Whenever someone is writing a book, they are often advised to get their audience's attention in the first 2 pages, if not the first sentence. It's called the hook, and it's one of the most important differences between a novel you find in the bargain bin and a novel that you can't find at all because it flies off the shelves. I see absolutely no reason whatsoever to ascribe a different standard to video games. I see no justification in giving video games a free pass for not being interesting or compelling at the outset just on the grounds that it quote-unquote gets better. Face fucking facts. People only have 24 hours in a day, and if a game they're playing for their entertainment is necessarily doing one of 2 things, providing them with the entertainment they seek, or wasting their fucking time. If it's not doing one, it's necessarily doing the other, and there's no 2 ways about it. So anyway, I made it back to Dirtmouth and realized that a shop that was closed previously is now open. This chick sells not just a compass, but several accessories to go with my map. However, the compass is the most important one at the moment, and the problem there is that she wants 220 gray honeycomb thingies for it. I only have about 120 gray honeycomb thingies, so now it's time for everyone's favorite game mechanic, grinding! Who doesn't love grinding? The more grinding a game has, the harder I come while playing that game. That's why, although microtransactions are becoming a huge problem in the video game industry in recent years, you never hear anyone try to justify microtransactions on the grounds that they allow you to skip the grind, because who in their right mind would want to skip the grind, let alone pay more money to skip it? That would be like going to a theme park and then paying extra to wait in line for an hour and then not ride the roller coaster. Oh god, I love grinding. So now that I finally got both map and compass, now the game can finally begin, right? Well, sort of. As I mentioned earlier, this map really doesn't do much to show me where I'm supposed to go, or even give me any interesting places to seek out. So once again, I was reduced to simply wandering around with no sense of direction, searching for it. So I suppose I'll just give a brief synopsis of the things I found that were relatively interesting or stuck out to me, the key word being relatively. About a half an hour into my hour-long playthrough, I held down the B button to try and restore a hit point, but I let go just a little too soon. It turns out that not only did I not restore the hit point, but I also wasted the soul juice from the insufficient charge. That is total bullshit. I can understand not restoring my hit point, but why does it still use up my soul juice? Imagine that working with any other game mechanic. Imagine if I went to buy something I couldn't afford, and instead of just not letting me buy it, the game instead took all the money I did have and then not give me the item any damn way. I came across a couple of enemies who I assume are bosses. One guy off to the right of the entrance to the Forgotten Crossroads is someone who I assume I need the ability to double jump so I can get behind him and attack him that way. Either that or I need a projectile attack so I can attack him from afar. I later came across another guy who hides himself in a shell I can't break whenever I get close to him, so I must need a projectile attack to damage him. Now bear in mind that I'm assuming that I need to acquire a new power to get past these bosses rather than simply needing better reflexes, because the former is supposed to be the whole point of the Metroidvania subgenre, acquiring new powers and abilities that enable you to progress past obstacles or gates that were previously gated off. Compare that to more traditional course clear platformers like Mario, Sonic, and Donkey Kong Country, which are predominantly focused on timing your jumps, landing with precision, and keeping the action moving at a quick pace. This is why traditional 2D platformers usually have the player moving to the right. It saves the player from having to constantly think about where to go, so they can instead focus on getting their butts moving. Hollow Knight, by contrast, is clearly meant to be played at a much slower pace. I find I have the best success against regular enemies when I bait them to come to me. I succeed at platforming in the game most often when I take the time to line up my jumps and be careful to avoid obstacles. So whenever I come across a boss I can't beat, I'm going to assume that it's because I don't have the necessary ability, not because I'm playing the game wrong. Because my triumphs in other areas of the game tell me that I am indeed playing this game the right way by playing it slowly and methodically. Case in point, near the end of my hour-long play session, I came across this platforming obstacle that clearly calls for a Ninja Gaiden-esque wall kick to overcome. I tried it once, I failed at it, and I went in another direction. So did I die because I didn't time the wall jump correctly, or because I don't have the ability to do a wall jump yet? I assume the latter until I see evidence otherwise. There was a point where I came across a bug in a jar. I was able to destroy the jar, and the bug was happy that he had been freed, apparently expressing his gratitude towards me in whatever bug language he speaks. He then went off screen and nothing happened. I can only assume that something will happen if I free enough of these bugs in jars. I can already tell that he isn't the only one, as I was able to see another one high up on a ledge that I wasn't able to get to without the double jump ability. Last but not least, I actually reached a bench and was able to save my game literally less than a minute before I reached the 1 hour mark I had set for myself. Honestly, I couldn't have timed it that perfectly if I had planned it. So now that I've essentially quadrupled the amount of time I've spent playing this game since the last time I gave my thoughts on it, how has my opinion about this game changed? Honestly, one step forward, one step back. My overall assessment of this game is roughly the same, but that's because the improvements cancel out with the setbacks. I still have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with this game. So far, there are only 5 NPCs in the game that I can have any actual dialogue with. For the time being, I'm just following the path that I can actually progress on, and hope that I eventually stumble upon something of substance. If I won't be rewarded with story and plot, then I'll take, for the time being, for making progress on the platforming challenges. Of course, one of the biggest things that really made me angry at this play session is that, well, you fuckers lied to me. You told me that getting the map would allow me to see several places I could visit to unlock more story content, but the map simply did not deliver on this promise. However, and this is what's going to show me who actually watched the whole video before commenting, for some reason that I really can't explain, I have the desire to start playing more Hollow Knight as soon as I finish making this video. I can't say why. It's certainly not because I'm having any fun with this game, at least no fun that I am consciously aware of. And it's not because of the sunk cost fallacy either, because I've only spent about 80 minutes playing this game across 2 sessions. No, if anything, and bear in mind that this is just my best guess, I suppose it's because once I committed to simply moving deeper into the Forgotten Crossroads, rather than searching for a point to do so, I started to make progress on the game, and so I am starting to actually feel the car moving underneath me. Does this mean I'm having subconscious fun? Only time will tell. In the meantime, however, I am Acerthorn, and I will see you guys later.